Hey guys, just in the extension, well, what's soon going to be a studio once it's finished. Still no internet, but I wanted to do this update because in literally the last like 10 or maybe 15 minutes from making this video, it's come out that the Israeli military chiefs have told the soldiers in Israel that a ground invasion is likely. Guys, the Israelis are going to be absolutely consumed north, south. They're now getting strikes from Iraq, potentially unconfirmed. It's looking like they could have an incursion from the Golan Heights, from the Iraqi Houthis through Syria. So it looks like all hell's going to break loose out there any day, guys. Remember, bad things happen on a Friday. I'm not saying things are going to happen on a Friday. I'm saying predominantly bad things happen on a Friday. Anyway, which brings me to things closer to home. So David Lammy's come out and he's used, and again, guys, I genuinely don't know how. I mean, you've got to be, it's kind of impressive that David Lammy managed to throw the race card in when he's talking about the war in Ukraine. So what you can see from this, guys, if you've not seen his speech, go and look at his speech. Now, this is my opinion, guys. My analysis and my speculation is that if you want to know what ideological subversion looks like, go and listen to David Lammy's speech. Go and listen to it with the context that somebody behind the scenes, potentially, obviously, allegedly, is controlling David Lammy and they want to push a certain agenda. How do you get David Lammy fired up? Go and tell him to talk about race. Guys, it's absolutely ridiculous. We are getting dragged into this war, and this is just more diversions. Now, if you listen to David Lammy pre-winning the election, you would think he would be all about the Palestinian front and all about, the Israeli front and doing the right thing over there. But it seems like he's just gone quiet about that. Why? Some could argue that this was already planned and this diversions was already going to happen months ago. And, if you guys have been watching my channel, if you've not watched it, and if this is the first video you're watching, guys, please give us a like, comment, and subscribe. And obviously share my stuff, because while the internet's off, guys, I genuinely don't know how many, it's really difficult to make videos. Anyway, so what you're seeing now, guys, is this diversion. So David Lammy's come out and he's just totally made enemies with Vladimir Putin. Not a good thing, but it's done. Now he's brought the race card into this, guys. Like I just said, ideological subversion. This is how you do it. You get people to think that they're fighting an ideological war. You get people to think that they're doing the right thing, and you get people to, and you play on people's insecurities. You play on people's fears, and that's, this is how it's done. So we can see now that the United Kingdom is going to be bogged down in a war in Eastern Europe, like I've been saying for months, guys. Also, what's happened in the United States, Donald Trump's come out and he said, that the United States need to, we need to, I can't remember the exact words, like we need to leave the Ukrainians to fight the Ukrainians war or something. But basically, it's showing more movement towards this diversions. Guys, this could be any day now when things escalate catastrophically. Remember not the last video I did, but I think the one before. Everybody's talking about these political reasons to let the Ukrainians use the Storm Shadow missiles, and I looked at the ground and I said, well, hang on a minute. The real reason is the financial reason. And, and it makes sense, guys, all right? All these political moves, none of it, you forget all that, all right? I said from day one, when people were talking about letting the Ukrainians use the Storm Shadow missile, I said it's kind of a non-question because they've already got that strike capacity. Now it makes sense. The Ukrainians have developed their own long-range missile system that they can strike, and that's what they took out these, I think, 3 ammunition compounds with. Now, if the Ukrainians are building their own long-range system, 2 things will happen. 1, they won't want to buy any Western systems. 2, that system, because it's being pressure tested against the Russians, guess what? That just becomes a very, very, very exportable product for Ukraine. So not only are the Storm Shadow producers, or you've got Storm Shadow, Scalp, and Taurus. Not only are those systems not being bought, but the Ukrainian long-range system, people will start to buy that instead, because that has been pressure tested against the Russians. That has got, operational not experience, because each one they don't come back, but operational credibility. Whereas the Storm Shadows, the Scalps, although they've been manufactured by the West with all the best equipment, all the best materials, guys, they've not been pressure tested. They've not been pressure tested against the Russian S-400, S-500 systems. So when we're talking about will the Ukrainians get to use the long-range systems, Scalp, Storm Shadow, and what's the other one? Taurus. Guys, if there's, forget the political reasons, there's now the financial reason. And, these countries who supply all those weapon systems, they will be losing out on a ton of money if the Ukrainians start to develop their own system, which they have, and if they start to sell that, if they start to export that. If you're, a country X, are you going to buy a Storm Shadow missile for 1.3 million that's never been tested in a combat zone, that's never been tested against Russian systems in a conflict? Or are you going to buy the Ukrainian system for 500 grand that's been tested against all these defenses? Of course, guys, it's a non-brainer. So that's kind of the financial reason why I think the Storm Shadow missile at some point will be used. Now, the significance of that, it's not going to be a strategic significance. It's going to be more of a political significance, because Vladimir Putin's already said, as soon as that happens, he's going to consider that, he's going to take that as, confirmation that that Russia is at war with NATO. Guys, you've got all these things happening, and they're moving forwards now a lot quicker than I thought. Bad things happen on a Friday, which is 2 days away, which, with the pace that the Israelis are pushing, we could have major escalations this weekend. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna leave it there. If there's any more updates, guys, I'll come back out here and I'll do another update. Like I said, internet's gone off. I spoke to the lady on the phone today. Absolute nightmare. I mean, from what we can gather, there's been a big outage at the main hub, and again, I don't know if she was misunderstood or something. But then she says once the hub's dealt with, which should be today, then they'll send an engineer out to look at the cables. I was trying to say to her, right, okay, so what you're saying is the hub's gone out that stops my internet, and also my cables, there's a problem with them, and it's not just the main hub. Anyway, guys, it was a nightmare. You know what it's like when they put you on hold and you're waiting for 8 minutes, then they come back, and honestly, it's just a nightmare. We will get internet back some point, I hope. We will be live streaming. I've taken this time to, really try and get the little studio finished. It's going to be a bit raw when we get in here, but you know what? It's going to be done. So anyway, guys, I'm going to back to grid. I'll try and get you another video. If there's no major updates, I'll try and do one video tomorrow, but it's a lot more difficult just doing it on my phone, as you can see, with my hand wobbling, and then having to do everything, all the thumbnails and the media on my phone with my fingers, trying to press everything. Anyway, guys, like I said, gonna go. Any more updates, I'll get you back, but we are really seeing this diversions take place now. You can, go way back to my early videos when I was talking about this diversions, and everybody, and nobody could see it. Nobody could see it coming, and I was very clear. I've not changed my tune. We're seeing this diversions now, guys. Look at what David Lammy is saying. Look at how he's been, in my opinion, subverted controls. You can see it. Somebody's playing him like a puppet. And then you've got Donald Trump saying he doesn't want to get involved with this conflict anymore. He wants to lift off. All sorts of mad stuff's happening at the moment, guys. So I would say maybe it's time to think about potentially those triggers that you were thinking about. Maybe sitting down with your family saying, hey, you know what? If X, Y, and Z happens, do you think we should do this? Guys, your own security is in your own hands. Anyway, guys, like I said, again, I'm going to back to grid.